What's up, YouTube? So quite a few of you guys enjoyed my kind of high-tech, crazy leads tutorial. So I figured I want to do a little bit more stuff in that kind of genre. I guess this one is a little bit more foresty, but I'm sure you guys will appreciate it nonetheless. Uses a couple of tricks that I have discussed in previous videos, but it comes together in a kind of special way that I want to outline in this video, as well as show you guys a plugin which is particularly cool to do this type of thing. So yeah, let's dive in and have a look. So the plugin that I've chosen for this sound is Arturia's Modular V. It is a pretty gargantuan plugin. You don't necessarily need so many features for this sound, but it does something in particular really well that I kind of want to outline in this video, and I think that's kind of the basis of what makes this sound particularly cool. So yeah, let's dive in. Firstly, what I want to do is just create an init preset, and this is what we're starting with. So this is based on the Moog modular system, and the basis of the sound doesn't actually really use any of these kind of oscillators as such. Essentially what we're doing is we're kind of creating a sort of resonant ping using the filter. So it's that kind of like high frequency ping sound, and we're going to modulate it using various parameters in this patch. So let's start off by just reducing the volume of the oscillator over here. So how this plugin works is you've got your bank of oscillators over here, a whole ton of them. Each one is broken up into kind of like sections of 3 with a driver, so you can kind of like tune sets of 3 oscillators to get some pretty cool like unison effects and stuff. It's really cool for creating like very wide, detuned kind of sounds. But for this tutorial, I'm going to keep it simple. I'm just going to turn these volumes of these oscillators down. So we're getting no sound when we trigger a key. The trick here is to use the resonance to create a sound. So something weird about this plugin that I've picked up is once you've turned the volume down and then the resonance up, it doesn't actually create the sound until you turn the volume up, trigger it, and then turn it down again. So it's probably just due to like the coding in the plugin or something like that. So to get that like true sort of analog response from, you know, no audio coming through and resonating the filter, you have to turn it up, trigger a note, and then turn it down again. Just something to keep aware of. So here what I want to do is I actually want to turn up the sustain on this envelope, because as you can see, when we trigger a note, it kind of like gives us that doo kind of sound, which we don't necessarily want. We want more of a kind of static sound like that. Cool. So the basis here is we're wanting to create 2 sample and hold modules. So what sample and hold is doing is it's taking a value, and at regular intervals which you set, it's sending out the voltage of that value. So it's kind of like grabbing samples of voltage at each interval which you choose. So there's various ways of doing this. You've got a clock rate built into the sample and hold modulator, as well as the ability to trigger it using something like an LFO. So just as a quick example, I want to show you what happens when we run like the LFO. Let's just use the triangle waveform, run it into the sample and hold, and then run it out into the filter input. So let's turn this frequency down just so we can hear the movement a little bit better. So essentially what we're doing is we're quantizing that signal and we're choosing at which rate we're quantizing it. So this is particularly handy when you're using random modulators. So what I want to do is let's just set this, instead of a triangle, let's set the random output over here. Let's MIDI sync the LFO by switching the switch to the right hand side, and then choose the tempo sync with this frequency knob over here. So what I like to do is, let's say for example, use the trigger from our LFO. So this is going to trigger at a sort of regular interval, and you switch the trigger on like this. Right? And then what we can do is we can create some glide on here. And then, let's say for example, send this output to the next sample and hold, and then into the modulator. So it's going into this one, which is clocked, and then this one, which we're going to free run. So you see this one doesn't give us any control because it's being clocked, but this one you've got control over the kind of quantizers of this glide. Let's turn this tempo down a little bit maybe. So this is probably just sounding random and tweety at the moment, but when we scroll down to these effects over here, you can get some really cool textures, particularly this 12-stage phaser. This is really, really cool. Doesn't really sound like your traditional phasers. I'm actually going to turn the delay off so we can listen to just what this sounds like. So with these things, it's quite important to apply a low cut EQ. And maybe some further delay and reverb, more of the traditional style than the kind of like weird style that's in the patch. So then what I'll do is I'll just put in a long note. Let's just draw in. See, the cool thing about this is because it's using that random, you're kind of getting, as well as a glide, you're kind of getting these very different patterns and modulations every time because you're syncing them at two different rates. So it's a cool way of creating these kind of like very unexpected, like Tweety Bird type of sounds, which are very, very common in foresty genres. We can actually turn this trigger to the LFO as well and then trigger it on and off as we wish. Or we could trigger it with LFO2, which is actually over here. Set this to sync to MIDI and then choose like a different tempo. Like let's do ×2 and then ×4 on this one. So then with this type of thing, I did a previous example in the other video where, I just recorded the audio and then played with it. And you get these very kind of playful, unexpected textures and pads and stuff which you can, use throughout the track, chop up and all sorts of stuff like that. So I'm going to just add an audio channel. I can run this leads group directly into the audio channel like this, leads. And then, just go like this, hit record. So because the effects were in a group that wasn't sending to the leads, I captured it dry, which is pretty cool. So now I can go ahead and change those effects as I want. And there's a guy who keeps commenting in the videos about how this pre-EQ, I keep leaving it off in the videos. And just for reference, so you can see, it doesn't go blue when you turn it on like the other ones. And just so you can hear that it actually does make a difference. No sound. No sound. So the cool thing here is like we played with a whole long section, so we've got like several bars which we can use to create like several variations. We can chop it up, use all sorts of like audio manipulation stuff. Quite some variations we've got that we've created here. Quickly want to look at a plugin and show you guys that I literally installed like 30 or so minutes ago. That is really, really cool. Okay, wait, no, more than 30 minutes ago because I've been doing this for 30 minutes. But yeah, anyway, it's still in demo, so I haven't actually got the plugin yet. I'm still just experimenting with it, but I figured let me just show you guys because it is really, really cool. It's by Bombshanker Machines. I've featured these guys, Phaser, before in a previous video. So essentially what this is randomized retrigger effect. You've got various parameters to change how it's randomizing these kind of retriggers. So you can potentially slap it onto an audio track. So the cool thing here is you've got a mix control. So you can kind of like mix it in and have like a bit of this kind of like randomized glitchy effect to create a bit of kind of rhythm to something. But for these kind of more, you know, unpredictable, nonsensical kind of like tweety sounds and stuff, being able to mix this in, create a kind of slightly rhythmic bass to the sound helps to kind of like fit it into a, you know, rhythmic kind of sound, like a, you know, like a dance track or something like that. Oh, if you're wondering about this phase plant sound, by the way, I did make it in a previous video, so I'm going to post a link in the description for that. Awesome. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Let me know what you think in the comments. A big thanks to IDM Mag, proud supporters of the dance music scene and my channel. I'm going to be posting this preset to my Patreon for all my $5 supporters, so if you want to know what that's all about, check out the link that's going to be somewhere in the screen right now. So yeah, as always, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. See you guys next time.